What are we tasting here?
I think a logical place to start is the pink gin.
Here's our mash. This is the mixture of our crushed kernels.
It's based on a gingerbread recipe.
You nailed it. I think I gotta get cooking.
Really hoping it's some of the beef here.
I'm Nick Benninger. Welcome to Farm to Fork. Farm to Fork is made possible with the generous support of Explore Waterloo Region. For a comprehensive guide on where to eat and what to see and do in the area, visit explorewaterloo.ca. Today, I'm in Ayr, Ontario. After college, Jordan Van der Hayden tracked down his old buddy Cam to pitch an idea that just might appeal to a bright guy in his 20s.
I just remember going home that night and being like, that is so cool. I'll drop whatever I'm doing and I want to be a part of that.
And that's when Willibald Farm Distillery was born. The initial plan was to produce gin to generate revenue, while their flagship product, a Kentucky-style whiskey aged in barrels. Hey Cam, how you doing?
Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, you too. It's great to be out here.
About to taste some whiskey.
Right on.
You want to try?
I would love to.
So I have two business partners. I have Jordan and Nolan Van der Hayden. They're both brothers. So where we are now is their family farm. Jordan and I knew each other from dating back to high school, and he had just reached out to me out of the blue and be like, hey, I haven't seen you forever. Let's go grab a beer. Started talking about what we were up to. He's like, I have this crazy idea, making whiskey. And I just remember going home that night and being like, that is so cool. I'll drop whatever I'm doing and I want to be a part of that.
How often do you get to do this?
About once a month, so not enough or too much depending on who you are.
Yeah, I bet. Or depending on how your month's been.
Exactly.
What are we tasting here?
So this is about 5-year-old whiskey, kind of modeled after the bourbon style. We can't call it bourbon because it's made in Canada, but it's modeled after that. So it's got that rich, big, bold flavor.
Can you walk me through a bit of the history of the farm and how we got here?
So we opened up in 2017 with the distillery. And although we started making whiskey initially, in Canada you have to age whiskey for at least 3 years. So what we started to do is put cask down, and in the meantime, we started making gin to release to help keep the lights on. The initial concept was whiskey. We knew from the beginning, you know, the romance, the love for that was there. That is definitely where we wanted to spend our time, our energy. Why don't we just take our gin and we'll rejig the recipe to be purposefully barrel aged, to harness that love for whiskey now without having to call it whiskey, without having to jump through the 3-year hoops, and hopefully that'll get us by. I'm glad you like the whiskey.
I loved it.
I have some more products here. You interested in trying?
For sure.
I think a logical place to start is the pink gin. That's aged in red wine casks and sweetened with a little bit of our raw honey on the farm. Next, we'll try tropical G&T. Kind of a classic gin and tonic using our dry gin. We're taking away all the bitterness from the hops, adding all the fruitiness, and that gives it this really tropical note. And then we add a tonic that we make in-house.
Wow, that nose is wild.
This is our flagship beer. It's a Dortmunder, so it's an old school style from Germany. It's a little bit overproof because back in the day when they used to export this to other countries, they wanted a higher alcohol percentage so that the beer didn't oxidize while it's making its voyage.
I mean, what is the percentage?
6.5%.
Okay, yeah, that'll sneak up on you.
Yeah, it takes about 11 weeks to make, so much longer than a lot of traditional craft beers where that usually take 3, 4. We give it 8 weeks to lager, and lagering just means letting it sit at cold temperature for 8 weeks and allows everything to settle out and allows this like smooth body to form.
So Cam, 11 weeks is long even for a lager. That proves to me that you guys don't cut any corners around here. I'd love to see the process behind this.
Yeah, why don't we introduce you to Joe and show you how the beer is made.
Right on, let's go.
Sounds good. So Nick, this is the brewery.
Awesome.
We added this the tail end of 2019, which I think is a nice addition to the distilling space. So this is my friend Joe. He's also our head brewer.
Right on. Great to meet you, Joe.
You as well.
So Joe and I originally met probably grade 4, and we were best friends in elementary school, like hanging out every day, that type of thing.
I'd love it if you could walk me through some of the process around here.
Definitely, yeah, we can do that. So the brewing process starts with malted barley. That barley will then be dropped into our mill over here. The mill will push up through the flex auger. It'll then drop into the top of our mash tun where it'll mix with hot water. I'll give you the honor of hitting the start button on the pump if you'd like.
Me?
Yeah.
All right.
So this right here is our mash. This is the mixture of our crushed kernels and hot water.
Well, this looks like the worst glass of oatmeal I've ever seen. What are we doing with this?
So right now we can actually take a pH of the mash.
How do you test that? I'm not going to drink this, am I?
You can try it if you want. It's mainly like a sugar water right now, but
That's surprisingly tasty already. It's nice and sweet too.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
So what do we do with this now?
In our mash tun, we actually have a false bottom. It's a steel plate that has little holes in it. So to ensure no grain gets into the finished product, our liquid water here will go through those holes, leaving behind the grain, and then it'll make its way into the kettle here before we boil and sanitize and add our hops or other ingredients we might want to add to the specific beer.
You know, their beer has so much flavor. I'm excited to cook with it. I'm just not sure which style.
So, Joe gave you the whole rundown on the beer program. I thought you'd introduce you to my business partner, Nolan. Teach you a little bit about spirits.
Right on, Nolan. And I'm assuming you're part of this whole recess gang?
Nolan went to school for mechanical engineering. He loves efficiency, as any good engineer would. And so his job is essentially, he heads all the production. He focuses primarily on the distilling side. So he spreads all the distilling, all the packaging, canning, cocktails, all that type of stuff.
Corn, rye, and barley are the 3 grains that we work with. They will get cooked in that mash cooker behind you for about a day. And what we're doing is we're heating that grain up, and by heating it, the starch that's in the grain is going to break down into sugars. Those sugars are what we need to ferment into alcohol. You can make alcohol from anything that has sugar in it. Fruit, grain, any sugar source, you can in theory ferment and make booze.
So I've tried your pink gin, it's fantastic. Tell me about some of the other varieties you guys have.
Yeah, so we do a few other. We have our dry gin. We also make our barrel gin, which is the first product that we ever made. That gin is aged in brand new American oak casks. We also make something called gingerbread gin, which we're actually bottling right now. So why don't we go over and take a look at that?
Awesome, let's go. We are at a distillery, so something from the bottle's gonna make it to the plate.
Okay, Nick, welcome to our little bottling room here. This is where we do all of our spirits. And now we're going to put some bottles on it, and they will start filling, and then it'll stop once the bottles get full.
Oh, cool, so I can't mess it up too badly.
Well, you can a little bit. Sometimes they overflow, but we'll catch it.
Right on.
Yeah. Here's some bottles for you. And then what we're going to do when they're full is you can pull them off, and we'll put them on the table, and then we can cork them.
Okay.
Let's move down here, and we'll put a cork in that bottle.
All right, before we do, can I have a little taste?
I thought you'd ask that.
Yeah, you had a glass for me and everything.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, so it's based on an actual gingerbread recipe.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, it tastes like you just soaked gingerbread in here. So you nailed it. That's super drinkable. Is the goal for people to just drink this or to make cocktails or both?
The goal is for people to enjoy it.
Right.
How they choose to enjoy it, we try and leave up to them.
Maybe I should put this aside and get back to work though?
Yeah. I got some corks here for you. You just literally put
pop
them right in
them
the
in there.
bottle. Okay, let's grab this bottle and we're gonna go dip it in some wax.
Okay.
But before you do that, we gotta put a little tear strip on it. This helps the customer get the cork out once the wax is cooled off. You can see that.
Just like that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Let's go over to our little wax station here. So this is where we're actually gonna put the wax on the bottle. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the bottle and you're just gonna dip it in the wax. So this one now you can probably pick up, give it a little twirl so there's no little wax string. Oh, yeah, perfect. And then in the water, and the water will just help cool the wax quick.
It's kind of like soft serve ice cream, you know, when you dip it in chocolate.
Okay, so the last thing these bottles need is some labels.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so what you can do is you can just throw them on the labeler.
Okay.
And what you're gonna wanna do is just make sure the little wax tip is facing you, and then put it on the conveyor belt. And what's gonna happen is when you let go, they're gonna go through the labeler, and then it's gonna spit out a label for you.
Well, thanks a lot for your help today, Nick. We really appreciate it. I think we can take it from here.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know how much help I actually was, but I appreciate the walkthrough, and I was happy to learn how to do it. I would love to get out of here because I think I got to get cooking.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks, fellas. Good luck with the rest of it.
Cheers. See you later.
It's finally time for me to get cooking. I got my fire started, I got all my ingredients out, and I've got a menu locked in my head. We're gonna cook a bit of a traditional Brazilian meal. It's called picanha, which is a Brazilian cut of beef. My wife happens to be Brazilian, so this cut of beef has been close to my heart and in my tummy for a long, long time. First thing I'm gonna do is just take our 2 picanhas here. I'm just gonna score that fat a little bit. I'm gonna put a pretty aggressive amount of seasoning on the actual fat cap. I'm just gonna hook these guys up and then I'm gonna hang them over the fire. And I'll just let those smoke. I'll probably give them about 30, 40 minutes to get some nice color on it, see that fat start to render out. In the meantime, we can get started on some of our side garnishes. We'll start with an onion. I need some for our beans, some for our farofa, and some for our vinaigrette. This is just some really nice smoked bacon, beautiful local pork. So now some garlic. I'm I'm just gonna give it a rough chop here. We've got our bacon starting to render. We've got our picanhas chilling. They'll be ready to handle in a few minutes. I'm gonna start building up our vinaigrette. So the vinaigrette is often just made of tomatoes, peppers, onions, a really acidic and oily dressing. Bring these guys across. They feel nice and cooled off. Oh yeah, for sure. We are just gonna cut these guys into nice long strips. I have these fun kebabs. So you wanna give it a fold and then just push your skewers through. The next thing I'm going to do is hit the beans with a little bit of beer. I'm gonna let that reduce down a little bit. Into the pot goes the canned beans. And this is gonna make up the body of our dish today. I'm actually gonna add that whiskey in now. Into our pan goes our farofa. That instantly soaks up all of that awesome bacon fat. Steaks sitting here now, they're on the skewer. I do need to hit them with a little bit of oil and some more salt and pepper. And then those guys will be ready to hit the grill. We'll get our platter ready. My beans are ready, my beef is ready. And I'm just putting on my last few slices here. And just in time, my guests are arriving.
Man, this looks incredible.
Thank you. How's it going, guys?
It's going great.
Awesome.
We're starving.
I hope so. I've prepared for you guys a bit of a Brazilian feast. The concept here is grab yourself a bowl of black beans with the vinaigrette, and then you kind of take the meat and you dredge it through the farofa as you eat it. Dig in and enjoy.
Awesome. Let's
Right
go.
on.
Thank you.
You know, cooking with alcohol can sometimes be a challenge to either overpower a dish or be an underwhelming situation.
Totally.
But I think that your ingredients turned out really well for that. I don't think my budget would always allow me to cook with that whiskey, but it was a special treat to do today.
It's really great.
Well, guys, it's been a fantastic day. I've got to spend the day learning and getting to know the Recess gang, the family, so to speak, and getting to know the goings-on of the farm. And I just want to thank you for having me, and cheers to an amazing day.
Thanks for coming. You're welcome back anytime, my friend.
Thanks.